following is a review by Keith Cheatham. It's clear to see the writing on the wall. Hollywood is in trouble. With their biggest releases bombing at the box office, two of the most successful films of the last 2 weeks are foreign films. Blame COVID, blame streaming, and blame the strikes all you want. It's clear people aren't avoiding movies at the cinema. They're avoiding the garbage Hollywood keeps shoveling out. With that in mind, and no major releases this week, we have decided to check out the latest film from Daily Wire, who for the last few years have committed themselves to making films opposite of Hollywood. Their latest film, written and directed by Daily Wire co-CEO Jeremy Boring, titled Ladyballers, marks their first foray into a more adult-themed raunchy comedy, poking fun at the latest trend of male athletes competing in women's sports as trans women. Starring Boring himself as Coach Rob, who is fired for his aggressive coaching style, in a world where teaching men to be tough competitors is frowned upon. Rob, desperate to make ends meet, soon discovers the gender-fluid world of trans athletes through his daughter, who has been taught in school about varying genders. After running into a former championship player of his while desperately applying to work at a drag bar, Rob comes up with the ingenious idea to form an all-trans team of men playing as women, so as to dominate the sport and come back out on top. After all, who could cry foul? Highlighting the absurdity of allowing biological men with massive advantages over female athletes to compete and consistently take first, Ladyballers is a film that will and has ruffled lots of feathers. That said, it has also found a massive fan base, boasting a 91% audience score from over 5,000 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Oddly enough, the film has received little to no reviews from mainstream critics. Yes, Ladyballers from the outset is a politically charged film with a clear audience, and depending on which side of the political spectrum you fall on will more or less determine your enjoyment of the movie. This is also partially its downside. Ladyballers is honestly a well-made film with a budget reported to be around $7 million. The movie harkens back to the typical 90s style adult comedy. Boring brings his dry, sarcastic wit and delivery to his performance, lambasting the absurd, with a who's who of conservative personalities popping up throughout the film. That said, the movie isn't quite as clever as I thought it would be, and the jokes are relatively tame from a conservative point of view. Sure, the left side of the aisle will find the film vile, but the movie honestly doesn't cover any ground that hasn't been gone over in many of the Daily Wire's host shows. Even the humor and jokes poking fun of men competing in women's sports has been done before by better works, like South Park, a show enjoyed by the right and left alike that has lambasted the subject in ways that are both more clever and funnier. For Daily Wire's first self-produced comedy, the movie will definitely appeal to their fan base, and has already proven to have done so. I have never been fond of preaching to the choir films. However, and while I can side with the Daily Wire's sentiments, it's not as clever as I'd hoped. Sure, the subject is not one that lends itself to reaching across the aisle, nor should it, as that would defeat the purpose as to why this film was made. I don't expect it to appeal to anyone but its more direct demographic. That said, like many Christian-made movies we've chastised for missing the mark, Ladyballers feels like it relies too much on knowing its fan base will eat it up, than being as clever and well-written as it could be. I give Ladyballers 1.5 out of 4 stars.